Welcome back to the Relaxing Ghost channel here on YouTube. As always, your host with the most, Ghost. Today we got episode 16 of the Attitude Era review series, WrestleMania 15. Before we get into it, guys, and down to business, take some time and subscribe to the channel. What's going on, Osty Ost? No problem, bro. You are very welcome. It is hot out today, guys. And make sure you guys stick around towards the end of the video where you can vote on episode 18. Because episode 17 is already in the can. We will be going back to 1997 just for a short while. So WrestleMania 15 took place March 28th, 1999 from the First Union Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This event had 19,514 in attendance, but during the main event, JR actually said there was over 20,000 in attendance. So it's a little bit conflicting there, what the actual attendance was. It's a hit or miss with the attendance issues. Boys to Men sang America the Beautiful, and for the majority of the show, we have Jerry the King Lawler and Michael Cole on commentary. We have 10 matches to get through, guys, so hang on. This is going to be a long review. What up, Zargon, my boy, Jimster? What's going on, boys and girls? Hope you all are enjoying the hot weather. Let's get into it, guys. The first match of the night. Hardcore Champion. He's not really Hardcore Holly yet. He's still, Bob Holly. But, he's cut the hair. He's, Hardcore Bob Holly. This was a, fairly decent opener. I don't think, if I could restructure this event, I probably would have put this match on a bit later. This show was, I think it was structured a bit bad, and it could have been definitely matches shuffled around a bit. So this hardcore match, we had hockey sticks, we had a Flyers chant going on at one point. Billy Gunn breaks a hockey stick over, I think, Al Snow, and that must have been a gimmicked hockey stick because those things don't break it like right in half like that. These guys are using brooms. Al Snow hits both guys with head and grabs a table from outside the ring. Chair shot to the head to Bob Holly. Al Snow goes through the table. Billy Gunn hits a famouser on the chair. And Billy Gunn gets a huge pop at this point in time. Covers Al Snow, but Bob Holly hits Billy Gunn with the chair. Covers Al Snow. We got a new hardcore champion, Bob Holly. Pretty decent match overall. Now we go back. Clips from Heat. Yeah, I actually like Billy Gunn too during this time. And Kane versus Triple H. We'll get into that in a minute. We go to clips from Sunday Night Heat. Test and D'Lo Brown won a battle royal, which would determine the number one contendership for the tag titles against Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett. After the battle royal, they were jumped by Hart and Jarrett. It was a weird way to set up a match for WrestleMania. Just have a random battle royal. The last two guys are the number one contenders. Really, really strange. Second match of the night would be for the tag titles. This is the 10th WrestleMania appearance for Owen Hart. So incredible feat from Owen Hart here. It would also be his last WrestleMania appearance, sadly. This was a good back and forth match. quick tags in and out. Test is eventually distracted by PMS, I believe Jacqueline and Terry Runnels. D'Lo Brown goes for a power bomb, but at the same time, he's setting up for the power bomb. Owen Hart comes off the top rope with a drop kick, and Jeff Jarrett hits the jackknife cover for the 3 count. Tag champs still Owen Hart and D'Lo Brown, or Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett. Sorry, trying to read these messages, but they're going by too quick. Yes, or R.I.P. to Owen Hart, man. Just watched the Life and Times of Owen Hart, which came with Wrestling with Shadows. Might do a full review of that also, guys. So, third match of the night. Brawl for all, the tournament finals or whatever the hell this was. Was never really a fan of this. You know, WWE gets things right every so often. They strike lightning. But Brawl for All, this was a disaster. So this was, first off, they introduced the referee, Vinny Pazienza, who was a former boxer, and they introduced some judges. Gorilla Monsoon is one of the judges. Gorilla Monsoon, he looked very frail during this time period. I'm not sure if he was battling anything, but Gorilla Monsoon received a huge ovation. I'm getting like just goosebumps thinking about it. Huge pop for Gorilla Monsoon, unbelievable. Butterbean versus Bart Gunn. This ended in the first round, TKO. Less than a minute for this thing. Wasn't a fan of it all at all. After the match, the San Diego Chicken comes out, and Vinny Pazienza ends up TKOing the Chicken, and that's the end of that until a little bit later. So we go through more clips from Sunday Night Heat, where Big Show, who was waiting for Stone Cold Steve Austin, ends up running into Mankind. Those two guys end up brawling backstage. And while that's going on, Stone Cold ends up walking by. So after that, we have a live promo from Mankind. Fourth match of the night would be Mankind versus Paul White, the Big Show. And this would be to determine the referee for tonight's main event, the World Wrestling Federation Championship. This was a all right match, but Big Show dominated the majority of the match. We have Mr. Socko locked in on the Big Show, and he's got it locked in, and the Big Show just kind of drops Mankind, crushing Mankind. I've heard that Mankind crushed his ribs, blew his lung out, and Mankind legit, I believe, goes to the hospital after that. Outside the ring, Big Show hits Mankind with a chair a couple of times. They get back in the ring. Big Show sets up these chairs like a little table and chokeslam through the two chairs. And Big Show is disqualified. Mankind will be the referee. But Mankind is going to the hospital. Mr. McMahon comes out to the ring and he's yelling at Paul White. He's yelling at the Big Show. And Big Show teases a chokeslam, and then he kind of puts Vince down. Vince ends up yelling at him some more, and McMahon slaps the Big Show, and then Big Show just kind of knocks Vince McMahon out for our second knockout of the night. Backstage, Mr. McMahon calls the police on the Big Show, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well. So the thing I like about this era too is seeding storylines throughout the show. Okay, we have, Big Show and Mankind brawling on Heat, and then they're having a match, and then McMahon's calling the cops, and then it's eventually leading to the referee in the main event. I love little details like that, which they really have to, they really need to work on little things like that, seeding storylines throughout the night. Fifth match of the night will be for the Intercontinental Championship, a fatal four-way elimination match. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of these fatal four-way matches, um, but as a match, it was a decent match. Ken Shamrock, Val Venus, Road Dogg, who's actually the IC champion, and Gold Dust all here. So Shamrock and Val Venus are eliminate each other after a double count out when they battle up the aisle. Ryan Shamrock, who is in the corner of Goldust here, which is Ken Shamrock's sister, um, she trips Goldust. I don't know if it was on accident or not. And Road Dogg gets the roll up, still your Intercontinental Champion. Backstage, once again here, the Big Show is now getting arrested and he's getting hauled off to jail for the night. So, not a good way to spend your Sunday night. Sixth match of the night. Things are really starting to pick up around this time, but I mean, those first five matches, I believe, should have been, shuffled around a bit and I believe spread out through these main events. But the show is really picking up here. Kane versus Triple H. And one of my more favorite Raw segments was building up to this, where Kane shot a fireball into China's eye, which was aimed at Triple H. And then the next week, I believe, it was supposed to be Kane versus Goldust. And it was Triple H dressed as Goldust. And Triple H pulls out this big, pyro gun and blasts Kane with it. It was pretty cool stuff. So let's get into the match. So before the match, the San Diego Chicken comes back, and it is Pete Rose. Remember WrestleMania 14? So Pete Rose gets another tombstone for his trouble. Second tombstone in a year. Fresh water. So I actually really like this match, and it's one of those swerves you don't see coming. Storytelling again, guys. Pete Rose. So Kane dominates most of the match. These guys are in and out of the ring. Triple H is just getting his ass kicked. Where China comes down to the ring. Kane hits a choke slam on Triple H. China hits Kane with a chair, resulting in the disqualification. And then after the match, Triple H pedigrees Kane on the chair. So then we have a awesome moment. China and Triple H are back together after China had joined the corporation and all this and that. We think DX is back stronger than ever, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. Backstage, once again, Kevin Kelly is interviewing Vince McMahon, and Vince says, Mankind's in the hospital. Big Show Paul White's in jail. Who's going to be the referee? It's going to be me. I got a referee shirt. I got this. I got that. So Vince has announced himself now as the special referee. Seventh match of the night. Women's Championship. Sable versus Tori. Decent match. But again, we got a lot of stuff going on here. Early on, we have a ref bump. This was actually a really quick match. Ref bump. And Tori countered the Sable bomb. It looked more like a botch than a counter where, Tori just kind of collapses and Sable looks ticked off. Nicole Bass comes, from out of nowhere and hits a gorilla press on Tori. Nicole Bass, if you guys have never seen her, she dwarfs China. And this woman was, pretty big, north of 6 feet, probably 220, 240 pounds, muscle. Nicole Bass with the gorilla press to Tori. Sable with the Sable bomb for the win, retains the championship. Really, really good. Backstage, once again, we are on the way to our eighth match of the night, the European Championship match between Shane McMahon and X-Pac. This is one of my more favorite matches. I loved X-Pac growing up. X-Pac was probably my favorite, and then eventually Triple H would become my favorite. So we have a DX promo before the match, all 5 members, where Triple H, is teasing, we're all together, stronger than ever. Before the match even starts, X-Pac is making his way to the ring, and Patterson and Briscoe try to jump X-Pac. X-Pac quickly disposes of them with a couple of kicks and knockouts. So X-Pac is trying to battle Shane McMahon. Shane has Test in his corner. So X-Pac hits the Bronco Buster, but Test pulls Shane out of the way. At one point, Shane gets a belt from Test. These guys are whipping each other back and forth. X-Pac hits the Bronco Buster on Shane. Test is in the ring. X-Pac hits the Bronco Buster on Test. Turns around, hits the X Factor on Shane. Triple H and China are making their way down to the ring. China's got the ref distracted. Triple H is in the ring. One of the most beautiful pedigrees I've ever seen. Triple H lays out X-Pac, pulls Shane on top of X-Pac. 1, 2, 3. Still the European champion, Shane O'Mac. It's also important to note that the Mean Street Posse was also in the front row during this match. They got involved a couple of times. After the match, the New Age Outlaws run down, try to make the save, but they get beat down as well from Triple H, China, and Test. While they're getting beat down, Kane makes her return. So like I said earlier, seeding storylines together and making everything fit. I thought this all fit really, really well together. Of course, we had the big swerve. Triple H and China are now part of the corporation. And Kane, he doesn't really make a save, but he just kind of chases everyone off. Kane, the pyro hits, and then Triple H, China, Shane, they all run away. Kane just chases them out of the arena. So this is like an official. I'm not going to get into too much because it was a horrendous match. I'm talking about the Hell in a Cell match between the Big Boss Man and Undertaker. I just think this match was poorly booked. And I think the beginning of Undertaker's ministry run was poorly booked as well. Big Boss Man had no entrance whatsoever. I mean, rewatching the pay-per-view, by the time the match promo was done, the cell's already down, Boss Man's already in the ring. So I'm not sure if that was done by design or if they were, cutting it close with time. Undertaker comes out to a massive pop. And, Undertaker's supposed to be this evil, ministry leader, phenom. And he gets, one of the best pops of the night. And Big Boss Man, also a heel. I don't think the match clicked well. They didn't have really good chemistry. So Undertaker eventually hits the tombstone for the 3 count. And they end up, hanging the Boss Man. Just poor taste overall. The Brood makes an appearance, clawing through the cage, and they release the rope. Bad match overall. Very, very bad Hell in a Cell match. Probably one of the worst Hell in a Cell matches ever. Not the biggest fan of the 10th match of the night. Let's get into some good stuff here. For the World Wrestling Federation Championship, The Rock, the People's Champion, the Corporate Champion, against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Before the match starts, good old JR comes down to the ring, and he's going to call the main event with the King. Yeah. Young Edge and Christian. This was their first Mania here in Main Street Posse. They were cool as well. So first off, Mr. McMahon comes down. He's supposed to be the ref. And Shawn Michaels, HBK himself, comes down to the ring. Now remember, Shawn Michaels is the commissioner at this time. And he says, "Oh, Vinny, You should have read that good old WWF rule book because, Vince McMahon is escorted out of the building. Shawn Michaels gets a huge pop here. They said, what could WrestleMania be without Shawn Michaels? Um, so Vince McMahon out, Mike Chioda in. Austin comes out. He's not wearing a vest. He forgot his vest, I believe, at home or something, and he comes out wearing just his regular T-shirt, which is really strange. Because how could you forget your vest going into WrestleMania? It's one of those things that it just happens. So these guys come in. They're battling in the crowd. They're battling up the ramp. It's a hell of a match. Austin hits a flying elbow drop through the Spanish announce table. Back in the ring, The Rock hits a rock bottom for a quick 2 count. The Rock goes outside, gets a chair, and Austin ends up hitting Mike Chioda with the chair. So that's our first referee down. Tim White comes inside the ring. Rock doesn't like the way he's officiating. Rock bottom to Tim White. He's out. That's our second referee down. Austin ends up hitting a huge stunner. This was like one of those stunners where The Rock does like 2 or 3 flips and bounces off the ropes. I always loved the way The Rock would take the stunner. Just incredible. Earl Hebner comes out to the ring, and Mr. McMahon ends up knocking out Earl Hebner. That's our third referee down. Mankind comes out, and we thought this was at the hospital. Mankind out. He's going to be the referee now. The Rock ends up hitting another rock bottom. People's elbow. Austin moves out of the way from the people's elbow. Stone Cold hits a stunner. 1, 2, 3. We got a new WWF champion. Stone Cold Steve Austin. I believe this was Austin's third run as champion. And this was really, really cool. Great moment. Austin ends up celebrating with the referee. They're drinking beer. And then Austin ends up hitting a stunner on Vince McMahon for good measures. Overall, I'm probably going to give this one a thumbs down just because too much bad on this show. But the last 3 or 4 big matches, they really did deliver. Minus the Hell in a Cell match. 3 of the 4 delivered. But WWF, they were clearly winning the ratings at this point. They were up and up and up, going higher and higher each and every week. I really liked Kane and Triple H, X-Pac and Shane, Austin and Rock. This was their first of 3 main events at WrestleMania. So it's not the best WrestleMania. It's probably in the worst category, but let's get into episode 17 here, guys. It's already in the can. Episode 17 will be the 1997 Royal Rumble. I've already watched it. I already did all my notes for the show. So I want you guys to comment down below after the video is already up and uploaded. I want you guys to comment down below. Vote on the next episode after the Royal Rumble. You could pick from WrestleMania 13. We're doing 97 only, so WrestleMania 13. King of the Ring 97. Not the best King of the Ring, but hey. One night only from 97. We would have British Bulldog versus Shawn Michaels for the European title. SummerSlam 97. So cast your vote now. WrestleMania 13, King of the Ring, one night only, or SummerSlam. Also, if you would like, Canadian Stampede 97 from July. Cast your votes now, guys. If there's a tie or anything like that, I will just go in chronological order to the channel, guys. We'll talk to you later. Peace.